I'm Joe Chile, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Weck. Joining us on The Big Weck's Buffalo on the Rise today is Dan Schuller. And Dan, let me make sure that I get this right, because I usually just say PB Elder Law, but it's Pfalzgraf, Beinhauer, Grear, Harris, Schuller, LLP. I got it right?
You got it, correct.
Okay, and PB Elder Law is just kind of the easier way to
Absolutely.
say. We gave everybody credit, though, today, so you can go back to the office and tell them we're in good shape.
Appreciate it.
Sure. You know, we're talking a little bit today about Medicaid application. First off, you know, I've mentioned this before. I don't know whoever came up with this. It's not you guys. But why come up with something called Medicare and then something called Medicaid? Because they're so close, you know, just only in name, because they're totally different entities.
Correct.
Can you explain to me a little bit what's the difference?
Sure. So Medicare is a form of insurance that you get when you turn 65. And if you have a hospitalization, your underlying health insurance, like Blue Cross, whomever your health insurance coverage may be, would cover that. If you are discharged to a facility for rehab, like PT, OT, Medicare is your coverage source, and it provides up to 100 days of coverage for that type of therapy. If you require further care, like a nursing home, that's where Medicaid comes in. So Medicaid is an eligibility-based payor source for those large nursing home bills, which on average run between $15,000 and $20,000 a month.
So when you prepare for Medicaid, or, you know, I guess I'm thinking about the fact that I haven't had to do this yet, but it's something that's looming. You know what I mean? Won't be that far ahead. But I think of it this way. People like to try to Google everything nowadays. This isn't something that you can just Google or DIY. You really need help with this. And what's the difference between an individual, like for instance, I use the example, do I want to have my neighbor do my income tax, or do I want to have my accountant do my income tax? So what's the difference between having a layperson or someone that the nursing home suggests maybe that you go to, and going to an attorney, a PB Elder Law attorney, for instance?
So first and foremost, Medicaid is a very complex area. There's a lot of administrative and regulatory rules that apply. So therefore, you need someone who does this stuff all the time. It's not something that you want someone to handle it that just dabbles in this a little bit. There's different rules based upon whether you're a single individual applying, whether you have a married spouse in the community, whether you have a disabled child. So there's all different concepts that apply when an attorney is evaluating what needs to be done to qualify you. So the reason that I would suggest that you have an attorney do your Medicaid application for you is, in my view, the practice or the submission of a Medicaid application is the practice of law. There are things that need to be done from a legal standpoint to help someone qualify, things that only an attorney can do. So for example, I often hear radio ads, commercials from other advertisers saying, non-attorney advertisers saying, come to us, we can get you everything you're entitled to. That's not accurate. They can get you everything you're entitled to from the eligibility standpoint, meaning you're minimally allowed to have X amount of dollars, so they can spend you down to that threshold. We can do more than that, though. If there are clients that come to us with more money than the eligibility regulations allow for, there are still legal planning techniques that only a lawyer can implement that may result in an additional 50% savings to the person's family. That's something a non-attorney cannot do. So that's really the big distinction and the reason why you need an attorney preparing your Medicaid application for you.
Okay, so Dan, when we talk about an advocate, the attorney is more like an advocate for you.
Correct.
I mean, if you, and I don't know if this is the case, but suppose you have a nursing home that has somebody that works with them, and maybe they get a kickback or a fee or something from the nursing home. Then you begin to wonder, is this person advocating for me? Are they not? You know, so I guess there's things, and I might be way outside of my bounds in saying things like that, but you wonder about things, you know, of that nature. And then the other thing you wonder about is, you know, how long do you have to actually get paperwork together and file, and what happens if you do it wrong?
Well, both good points. So as an attorney, when a client hires us, our obligation is to the client and to the client only. So our role, once the client retains us, is to provide the best service and to get the client the best result we can without negatively impacting their rights. So unequivocally, that's where our loyalty lies. As far as timing, there are deadlines by which you want to submit based upon the client's financial situation. Late submissions can result in the client potentially having to privately pay the facility when they don't have any money before Medicaid kicks in.
And we're talking thousands and thousands of
$15,000 to
dollars.
$20,000 a month. So
Okay.
if you have a client who is eligible, but you wait more than a statutory period of time to submit, that client may not get Medicaid coverage for the time period that has lapsed. They may have to come out of pocket. Now you have a frustrated nursing home because they're not getting paid. The client has no money, and Medicaid's not going to pay yet. You also have scenarios where an application is submitted. Oftentimes it could take between 4 to 6 months to get a decision out of the county on that application. If that application gets denied at the end of 6 months, nobody pays, Medicaid does not pay back to the date of submission. So now you have a client with a 6-month gap where the nursing home is looking for the family to pay. No one has any money. So depending on what happened with the money that the application got denied, they could start looking at family members for contributions. That's where you get into lawsuits. Those are things an attorney can prevent, though, because we evaluate the case from the onset, and we have a pretty good understanding once we get through all the financials the client provides, where the potential problems may lie and how we can fix those, short of just getting a denial notice.
All right, and we've only got about a minute left, but there's also a differentiation when they say, you can pay down. Paying down is kind of an idea that maybe people don't want to do that. I mean, they've worked their entire life for this. Why should I pay down? If there's a way that you can save me from doing that, then I'm going to want to talk to you about that.
Correct.
Right?
So a spend down means, simply put, you are spending your money either on a few eligible exemptions that are available, or you are paying the nursing home until you are down to the eligibility threshold. We can do more than that. If there's money to be spent down, oftentimes we can save about 50% of that money for the family without having to just pay it all to a facility.
All right, Dan, thank you. For more information and answers to your questions, contact PB Elder Law by calling 716-204-1055 or go to pbelderlaw.com. Sponsorship and promotional considerations for the preceding segment was provided by the following.